Nobody remembered when old Thomas started coming to the salon. That was the funny thing. If you asked Gus, he would say Thomas had been a regular since before he took over from his father. If you asked Emily, she would shrug and say she thought he had always been there. The same corner booth, the same pale ale, the same worn canvas jacket, the color of dead wheat. If you asked Shane, he would just stare at you. The farmer, Mia, noticed Thomas on her 31st day in Pelican Town. She had gone to the saloon after a long haul in the mines, her arms still aching from swinging a pick, and she'd sat at the bar and ordered something warm. That was when she'd seen him across the room. He was watching her, not in a threatening way, more like the way you watch a fire, patient, without expectation. She looked away. She chalked it up to the strangeness of being new. Mia asked Penny about him one afternoon while they were both lingering by the fountain. Thomas? Penny looked up from her book. He's always been there. He used to give me butterscotch candies when I was little. He was already old then. She paused, as if something had snagged in her memory. He was already old then. She didn't finish the thought. She went back to her book. Mia started paying closer attention after that. She began going to the saloon more regularly, and she began watching Thomas the way Thomas watched her, quietly, from a distance. He never ordered food. Gus always brought him a pale ale, but the glass never seemed to empty. He never spoke to anyone who approached him, though the people did approach him. Emily would wave, Liam might smile in his direction, and he would nod pleasantly enough, but no real conversations, no exchange of names or gossip or complaints about the weather. He was around without being present in any way that left a mark. On the 44th day, Mia sat down at his booth. "You're the new one," he said. His voice was low and even, like someone reading from a ledger. "I've been here 6 weeks," she said. "That's new." He looked out the small, dark window. Outside, the town square was quiet. "Your grandfather was new once too. He sat in this same booth first week he got here." "You knew my grandfather?" Thomas looked at her then. His eyes were very pale grey, like river stones. "Nice man, good with his hands." He picked up his glass. She watched and set it down without drinking. "He used to wonder about the forest past your property. Said it felt like it was waiting for something." "People say that about the cinder sap," Mia said. "They say it about a lot of things here," Thomas agreed. She waited for him to say more. He didn't. She went home and wrote it down in her journal, the way she'd been writing everything down since arriving. By the 63rd day, the parsnips had come in beautifully. Mia was raking out the south field when she noticed the scarecrow at the edge of her property was facing the wrong direction. She'd placed it facing the road, the standard position, arms wide to the east. Now it faced the forest. She turned it back. She told herself the wind had caught it. She knew that scarecrows didn't turn on their own. She didn't think about it again until she found her grandpa's journal. The last update was dated the day before he left the farm. She read it standing in the dusty back room, the afternoon light going amber through the one small window. 62nd day, it read. The old man in the saloon told me today that the valley keeps what it wants. I asked him what that meant. He said some people feel it and leave, and the valley lets them go because it isn't time. He said others feel it and stay, and those are the ones it was waiting for. I have been feeling it for weeks now. That pull from the woods past the south field. That sense that something knows I'm here. I'm going home. I am sorry to leave it all behind, but I think the valley knows the difference between someone who visits and someone who belongs. I don't belong here. I pray she doesn't either. Mia stood there for a long time. Then she walked to the saloon. Thomas was in his usual spot, with his untouched pale ale, with his pale grey eyes. "You talked to my grandfather," she said, not a question. He looked at her without surprise. "A long time ago. He left because of you." Thomas considered this the way you consider whether it rained on a particular Tuesday. He left because he listened to himself. That's a rare quality. Most people don't. She wanted to ask what he meant. She wanted to ask who he was, why no one questioned his age, why Gus filled his glass like it was a reflex, why she'd heard children in town call him the old man the same way they referred to the trees or the mountain, as if he had always simply been there, a feature of the landscape. Instead, she asked, "Do you think I should leave?" He looked at her for a long while. Outside, the evening was soft and purple. The jukebox in the corner was playing something quiet and old. "I think that you already know the answer to that." Mia walked home in the dark. The scarecrow was facing the forest. She didn't turn it back this time. The next morning, Mia planted the summer seeds early. She repaired the fence along the south field. She ordered a new rain catcher from the catalog and began drawing up plans for a second crop rotation. She told herself the scarecrow was a loose post. She told herself Thomas was just a peculiar old man with a gift for eerie conversation, the kind every small town seemed to produce. But sometimes, in the long quiet of the valley nights, she would stand at her window and look toward the forest, and she would think about what it meant, really meant, to belong to a place, whether belonging was a gift that you gave or a thing that was decided for you quietly while you were looking somewhere else. She never saw Thomas outside the saloon. Not again, not once, in all her years in Pelican Town. She stopped asking about him eventually. It seemed rude to keep pointing at something that everyone else had learned to accept. "He's always been there," they said. And so, in time, had she.